You're looking good, you're looking sharp. You've come so far, and you know how to make the most of who you are. Father to son, doing what you've always done. Gillette, the best a man can get. You're the champion.
Gillette Labs, our next generation of shaving for the best a man can get.
Hello and welcome to the What the Folk podcast. That was great. Brilliant. It's just me and Dave. Dave, you all right?
If I can get my phone off mute, then I'll agree with you. All good, Mara. I mean, we're terrible, but we won. So I don't give a shite.
I'm not having the negative, Dave. Come away. I'm not having the negative. Look,
we were amazing, man. Absolutely amazing.
Tremendous. But as you can tell, we're happy. I'm severely drunk. But it's fine. Like, we commit to these podcasts and we do them, even during the positives. Even during the positives. But Dave, look, I got a prediction right, by the way. I said 2-1. Not that I like to brag, but here we are. By this point, people are either switching off or definitely tuning in, by the way. But England 2, Slovakia 1. Loads of really bad things, but loads of really fun, great, amazing things that make you love football. We'll forget like 94 minutes of it, but like the time after that, how happy are you? How do you feel? Because I feel really good.
Brilliant. I mean, if we're not going for balance tonight, if we're just going all out positivity, and let's be honest,
balance. We're not doing balance.
That's what it's all about. From around about the 95th minute to around about the 102nd minute was absolutely class. Absolutely fantastic. Don't care about the rest of it. Little bit of quality, albeit I tell you what's understated. Like, I made a joke, and it was a joke, everyone, before you jump on the bandwagon. We should have sacked Southgate after the Slovenia match and got Big Sam back. Big Sam, or maybe he's even Harry Redknapp. And what that equaliser from Jude was old school Big Sam. Get it in there to big Kevin Davies. All right, it was Mark Gay, but that's different. And literally Kevin Nolan, the horrible mag, with the overhead kick. I mean, don't get me wrong, Gay's slightly better than Kevin Davies ever was, and also Jude's a lot better than what Kevin Nolan ever was.
Pretty good, Jude, I think. Some might say that a player like Jude can do nothing for 93, 94 minutes. And he was quiet. I'm going to completely get rid of any negatives in this podcast. But he was quiet for 93, 94 minutes. We chatted in the preview, not the game preview. We chatted in the tournament preview. And in the tournament preview, I said, I feel like there's a mentality in Jude that's just different to what other players have had. I didn't anticipate it. It would come in a 95th minute equaliser against Slovakia with an overhead kick. I'm not going to lie. But it's very un-England to do that, isn't it? Do you know what it reminded me of? And look, there's about, 24 years between the goals? 34 years. And I would have been 4, and it's one of my earliest footballing memories. But remember Platty against Belgium, Italia 90?
Yeah.
Like, I remember my whole house just going absolutely mad with that. I don't know if it's just me, but that goal that Jude scored, and Ash can back me up on this, I didn't do anything for about 5 seconds and then let out the biggest roar. I didn't even know I had that roar, to be honest with you, of just total frustration but happiness at the same time. And for me, there was only ever one player that was going to drag us out the shite at that point. Like, I know he was poor for like a quiet for 93, 94 minutes, but like, look, it's really important that we have players that can do that, isn't it? Because like that's got to be a turning point, surely. And of course it came from Jude's boot.
Definitely. I think there's signs of we all know that I'm not Southgate's biggest fan. We all know that my
Southgate, you're the one. You still turn me on. And I never had any doubt in you ever again.
I definitely did have a rendition of that. I'd closed the pub up early, so I had me and a couple of mates in my pub watching it, and I did have a rendition of it because once that equaliser came, I knew we'd be fine. Listen, the bits after the we went in front, I probably didn't really appreciate how we sat off that much, but it was game management and it was the personnel on the pitch and stuff, and it wasn't exactly ideal Eze playing left back and so on and so forth. But anyway, that's all irrelevant. I think there's little signs now of things that Southgate, he's rode his luck. He's done his bits and pieces. He's stuck with his formation and stuff like that. Switzerland, he has to go for it. Like the one.
By the way, did you notice that we scored 2 goals when we went 4-4-2?
Yeah, don't believe it. Tell you, bring back Big Sam. It's what it's all about.
No, it's the Mike Bassett management style of management. Like there was a period when I was like, "Have we gone 4-4-2? Oh, we are, and we scored twice." Like, I mean,
unbelievable.
Look, Leicester won the Premier League with 4-4-2. England are going to win the Euros with 4-4-2. Who knows?
I think even first half we weren't great, but I think Kobbie Mainoo stood out an absolute mile. He's positive what he tries to do on the ball.
I fully agree with that. And I think that might get underplayed a bit, right? Because, like, obviously he got took off before he equalised. But I thought there was 2 players that really shone for me tonight. Kobbie Mainoo, I thought was excellent. Like, the whole way through, he was the real positive. But I want to discuss also his midfield partner. Look, there's no questions or anything planned here. Like, I've had a good drink and, like, I'm exhausted from emotions, which is, like, what football's all about. But I thought Declan Rice, that second half, it'll be underplayed a bit, but he was fucking brilliant. Like
he was but I was screaming at the TV for a good 20 minutes.
He absolutely dragged us through that second half, Dave. He was fucking fantastic.
It was a mentality thing again, which I think he's got in abundance, even though he isn't quite the same personality as Jude Bellingham. He's a little bit more relaxed, but he's definitely got that winning mentality. And also, he was the spare man. Every time we shifted the ball side to side, Ian Wright, you're a legend. Saka give us natural width, natural balance. It made a difference, even though we didn't use them as much as when Trippier was out there. Probably because the defensive team had worked out they've now got natural balance. We can't create an overload on that side, so we can't pinch the ball back. So it just opened up the game, and I was screaming for 20 minutes before he hit that shot against the post. I was like, stop missing him out. Stop swinging that stupid ball into Harry Kane, which the 2 Slovakian defenders are absolutely loving, by the way, and put the ball to Declan Rice's feet. And then when he hit that shot, I was like, that's it. It's in. And then the rebound to Kane, and I'm like, oh my God, it's just not happening tonight. It's just not happening. So, yeah, but here we are. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant.
It doesn't, and you know what? It doesn't. Football is a very much a results-based game, and like there's tons of stuff we could go on about the 94 minutes worth that just wasn't quite good enough, barring 1 or 2 players. But look, I know we've talked before about how it's not been great, and we were kind of worried this was going to be in Iceland, and we were 70 seconds away from it being in Iceland, but it wasn't. And I think how many times have we seen Spain, Italy, Germany snatch it when they probably have not deserved it? For me, it could be massive. It could be absolutely massive, and that might be the innocent gun speaking like. But if it is, it is. Brad, you've joined us. I'm delighted you have. We and Dave. All right, hang on a minute. Me and Dave have decided 0 negatives in this because there can be 0 negatives about England getting to the quarterfinal of a Euros. How are you feeling? Look, I know it wasn't perfect, but that's what you live for, isn't it? That kind of game.
No, there's no negatives. There's no point me being on.
Oh no! Hang on a minute.
Because
get rid of this trash podcast.
Because barring 5 or 10 minutes, I thought it was abysmal. But
does it matter? Does it matter at
knockout
this stage in the
football.
tournament? Aye.
But knockout football is about getting over the line. And
If this
that
was
goal
the
from Bellingham.
if this was
Wow.
the Germans or the Spanish, and look, this is me maybe speaking with drink in me, which I've mentioned, but it's fine.
Yeah.
If that was the Germans or the Spanish or the Italians, and we were talking just a group of mates in the pub, we'd go, that's just what quality does. England don't do that. We go out as like failures at stupid points in the tournament against teams like Iceland. We've shown up in the couple of minutes that really matters. And I mean, that goal from Jude, you were talking about it before, Brad, but look, I don't need to talk about how much I love Jude. Like, I think he might be my favourite player of all time. Sorry, Dennis Bergkamp, but wow.
That's where I give Southgate his dues, because I'm like Dave, I can't stand the bloke. But I can guarantee 95% of people watching that were shouting at the telly to take Jude off, take Harry Kane off, and change it. Just go for it. We've lost. And he persevered with them. And that's what class does. They dig you out of the shite at the most pivotal moments, and that's what they've done. So yeah, I don't sound it, but I'm delighted, really. I put in the group that after Jude scored, the timing of that goal and just everything that comes with it, mentality-wise, if that doesn't give them the kick up the arse and kickstart our tournament, I don't think anything will. No matter what Gareth Southgate can say in the dressing room, no matter what pundits go on what podcast, no matter what average Joe like us go on podcasts and say, none of that matters. If something like that can't kickstart them, nothing will. So I was saying, I'm going to go with negative and always flip it to a positive. Is I thought, even if we go through, Switzerland's going to do us. Like, I couldn't name a Slovakian player. Switzerland have got some very good, talented players in their team.
Mm-hmm.
But again, on paper, and when you look at the two teams matched up, we're head and shoulders above them. The reason Switzerland look good and get where they are is because they play as a unit, they play with confidence, they play like a good team, and they play at their strengths. We need to start doing that now and showing our ability, because if we show up and play how we know we can, which I think this could kickstart us, it's a mismatch, in my opinion. That might sound big-headed, it might sound a bit like...
It will, and there'll be people that think it sounds arrogant and big-headed, but the abundance of quality in England's team should be performing far higher than it is. But as it is, we're in the quarterfinals. Like, that's where we're at. But most importantly, Brad, it's another chance to knock out a mag. That's a big thing, isn't it?
Yeah, Fabian McShaw, because he scored for Scotland, didn't he? So
he did.
The only people would...
Fabian McShaw and Antonio McRudiger also scored for Scotland.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see how we get on against McShaw. Yeah. What can you say? Like, you sit through 120 minutes of pretty much abysmal football, but you come out of it and you think, you know what, it has got to click with this group of players. And I don't know if it's hopeful or I'm just praying, but I do think that goal for Jude Bellingham. Look, we could have went on an extra time because we did sit back in the end, and it was a little bit inviting the pressure on. And if they did get a goal, I think we probably would have lost on penalties because we took all our best penalty takers off.
Apart from Tony.
But we scored that last second goal, and instantly we went in the lead. Now, that's what I'm talking about. That goal could really change absolutely everything. And not just in the players. It could be a mentality thing with the fans and everything. Like we've just said there, we know the class they've got and the big game players, and that's when they pop at the right moments. Hopefully everyone now is sort of thinking the same as us of, right, we've had 4 games of pure dross. Now we're into the quarterfinals. It's the latter stage in it where You become men, really.
You're 3
Yeah.
games away from winning the tournament if you really want it, which is,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that need to be better. Tons of stuff. I don't think there's any point in us even going over it because you know what it is. Everyone watched the fucking game. But like, I just think there's 3 ways technically today could have went, right? The first one is England win quite comfortably. It's not that great, but you win 1 or 2-0 and you get through and you go, well, it's Slovakia, it's fine. You get beat, you go home and you think, fucking hell, that was awful, which we're 70 seconds away from. Or Jude Bellingham scores an overhead kick in the 95th minute, then Harry Kane bags when he needs to bag and we see out the game in extra time and you go, hang on a minute. There's moments in time when we've watched, and I'll repeat this again, and look, it might be egg on my face, it might be drink in my body, I don't know what it is. It might be just complete controversy that I'm just being positive in any way, shape, size, or form. But like, I'm actually quite positive quite often. But I think a moment like that, if it was the Germans or the Spanish, or if it's a World Cup, the Argentinians or the Brazilians, you go, that's just a world-class team knowing what it is to win. We've said we've got world-class players. We know we have world-class players. Bellingham's world-class. In my opinion, at the minute on form, form for Real Madrid, no one touching him. For me, Harry Kane's the best all-round striker in the world. He hasn't shown it at this tournament, but I personally believe that. I think Declan Rice is potentially, top 5 best defensive midfielders in the world, or even a number 6. We have an incredibly good squad that you could class as world-class, and when you look at what, a lot of them have won or what a lot of them have done this season, the facts kind of back me up on that a little bit. We haven't really performed, but when it's really mattered tonight, in the 95th minute of a knockout tournament game that England would normally go out of, Jude Bellingham scored an overhead bicycle kick. That is something that if the Germans or the Spanish or any other team that has won tournament before did it, we'd go, well, of course they did. We wouldn't concentrate on the 94 minutes of like rubbish beforehand. We'd go, that's what England miss. And tonight we had it. And you can't take that away from us, like no matter what. And it might be the Jack Daniels and the innocent gun speaking. I don't know. I don't really care. But David, the fact, isn't it? This could be a real moment that if you're going in any game now moving forward, up until the last second, you realise what Jude Bellingham can do. That's massive, isn't it, Dave? It's really big.
The parts that I'll agree with Gareth Southgate is all about...
Oh, hang on a minute. What?
I know. Hey, you told me I wasn't allowed to be negative.
Hang on a minute. This is an audio podcast, but Dave's actually putting a waistcoat on as we speak. Nothing else, like just a waistcoat, which is a bit weird, but like we'll play one.
He will tell you it's about momentum. He'll tell you it's about big moments, and we've produced that. For as much as we weren't great tonight, we've gotten the result in knockout football. We're into the next round. We haven't played great, but there was a 25-minute period in that second half. Absolutely terrible. Not that we were good, to be fair. I will apologise to anyone listening when I'm trying to give Gareth a bit of credit here, which is unlike me. And Brad is making me laugh. We'll roll with that. We'll just roll with the.
I'm not editing this because I can't be bothered. So people will just have to wonder.
Change this though, because people have to wonder. But I often go on to Zoom calls with my family.
Might be an idea. So it is defining moments. We've definitely come out the other side of that. There was a 25-minute period in that second half that we went through the gears. We got enough respect from Slovakia that they had to drop 25 yards deeper, and we looked very, very effective. The final ball was terrible. The pace of the play wasn't great, but they'd earned enough respect of Slovakia that they had to drop 25 yards deeper, and then you started seeing Foden's final ball wasn't great, but he was in better areas. Saka was hitting the line. the amount of times against Slovakia's left back that Palmer should have just put the ball in that space behind the fullback, and we didn't. But we did start doing the right things. The longer that we do it, the better. And yeah, I kind of don't mind Gareth today. I'm not going to say that I like him.
Southgate, you're the one. You still turn me on. And football might come home again. How can people think I'm dour and negative? Look at that. I just need a couple of drinks down this. Brad, but like, look, there's, like I say, there's like so much like we could chew on, but it's gone now. You can't change it. Like the group stage is gone. The last 16 is gone. So I want to talk about something that was really good. How did you celebrate Jude's goal? Because I had like a moment of just like, oh my God, where I didn't do anything and then really, really scared the cat. Which you know what? I love my cat, but no regrets. That's my Nando's.
The pub went mad, and I felt really sorry. One of the lads had the baby there, turns 1 in like 3 weeks' time, and that Ben cried from Jude Bellingham's goal. Just got it settled through. Just got him settled, not it.
So did I, to be fair. I cried at the same
time. I think we terrified him because the noise was unbelievable. Picked Archie up, lifted him in the air, took him around the pub a bit. Then we just spent like the full-time team talk, right? Calming the baby down. And then Harry Kane comes and scores after 40 seconds. And he started crying again. The pub went berserk. So my mate's missus had to take the baby home. Bless him. But yeah, that's how I celebrated.
I feel like, Dave, we've got out of jail. I feel like good things are on the way. Hang on. Let me think of a good question here. God, this is going terribly. But Switzerland next round, it does have to be better, but would you change anything with the starting 11? Because for me, but I thought Foden was poor again.
I thought he got into better areas in the second half. So the changes for me, it's fairly simple. I think it goes to a back three. I know Brad's just commented there saying that he thought Saka was terrible. I find it hard to disagree. I don't think it was his greatest game ever.
I thought Saka was good when he went to left back, which was weird.
I think that's what I do. I think Palmer made a difference again when he came on.
I thought Palmer made a massive difference. I mean,
so I
thought Mino and Rice excellent, but yeah, I agree with Palmer 100%.
Yeah, so I think they're the three that have to play within the midfield for me. Manu, Rice, Palmer, and then I'd put Saka in that left wing back role, and I'd just play with a back three. I think it's a lot better way to do it. And if he doesn't do it on Saturday night, if he doesn't go for that, or if he doesn't at least change the personnel, if not the formation, he's a stubborn dinosaur, isn't he? I've said it twice in the last week, but yeah,
I think he changed it at this point though. But Brad, one issue we do have, which I find weird, but like, look, it's probably just me not paying enough attention, Brad. To be honest, I thought the yellow cards kind of like were cancelled after the group stages, which obviously isn't the case, and it looks like Mark Gahey's out. Who I think, to be honest with you, if you've taken the whole tournament, has been our best player. I think he's been absolutely excellent. He's had that kind of Maguire 2018 World Cup where if teams aren't sniffing around him and Palace aren't able to bring in a big amount of money, if he does go in the summer, I'd be really surprised. That's actually a really big miss. So if we did even stick with a back four, or if we move to a back three, Gahey's not going to be there. Who comes in at that point, like in both positions? Because I think you might switch to a back three, if I'm honest with you.
If he goes to a three over Joe Gomez, if he sticks with a four, I think it will be Konza.
You know what? I thought Konza played quite well when he came on. I know he's not a left back, but I thought he did what he needed to do. And I think it was the friendly game against Bosnia. I thought he was decent at right back. I know he's predominantly a centre back, but I wouldn't be against Konza even being in the three, to be honest.
Yeah, I just think that's what he'll do because I think if he goes to the three, obviously Gomez can slot in at left centre half. But if he's going to stick with a four, I think Trippier will be dropped.
Would it be a benefit? Like, look, it's not a mag thing. I know we've made a mag joke, but like, look, when you've got
It's his fault. It's his fault. He's now missing the game.
when you've got three lines on your shirt, right? I don't give a shit who your club team is. I never will. I think Gordon should have been on much earlier than he was. I thought we would have opened him up earlier. So, but Trippier at left back just doesn't work, does it? Like
No,
how many moves is he killing, man? Like you need to in some way. If you're going to stick with the back four, even just stick some with the left foot there. Even if that's Saka, I know he's not going to be happy about it, but
Stephen Goldsmith has said it on Rory and Matthew's pod that what you should have done is go as far down the pyramid as you need to get an out and out competent left-footed left back.
like
And
Dimitri
I go
Mitchell
hard.
from Palace.
Yeah, 100%. And even if you need to go even further, you go as you need to, and out left back in there. And I 100% agree.
It sounds like you're insinuating that potentially Alessi would be or Dennis Cirkin even.
But they were injured. But yeah, why not? And
We
look,
look unbalanced, don't we? We do look unbalanced.
I'm even going to go out there and say if Livramento was fit, I would much rather have had him filling in there than Trippier, because I think Tino Livramento, with my England hat on, actually is just as a football watcher.
He's a decent player.
Baller.
Yeah,
and
he's a good
young
footballer.
I wouldn't have been against seeing him, but obviously, unfortunately, he got a bit of injury. And I'll go even further. If Lewis Hall had played more games rather than just the 8 or 9 at the end of the season, I thought he looked tidy. It's just got a lot of inexperience at the top level. He's probably one for the future. So I'm not just digging out mags because of Trippier. I would have taken any of their other two fullbacks.
Trippier is a reliable fullback that is experienced when you play him at right back or right wing back as maybe a backup, because for me, if you're playing right back or right wing back, Walker's maybe your first choice. I thought he was really poor for 94 minutes. I thought he was excellent throughout the extra time period and everything. Been brilliant period.
Personally, I'd put Joe Gomez left back, and I said this on our preview podcast. He played 25 games for Liverpool at left back in the absence of Andy Robertson. So why is he not getting a look in here? I cannot get my head around it.
Do you think Shaw's too... We can debate whether it's right or wrong, whether he took Shaw because of the fact that, like, well, in the last 16 and he hasn't played a single second of football, but, like, he's back in training. If Shaw is, by the medics, fit enough to play the quarterfinals, do you put Luke Shaw in, or is it just... Has that been an error?
In that case, I'd play Luke Shaw. Then I wouldn't risk him for the semi-final. Then you bring him back in for the final.
If we get there.
Yeah, but that's the risk I would take with Shaw. Use the semi-final if you can. Get him in. See what he's about. 70 minutes, 60, 70 minutes. And then leave him out unless needed in the semi-final if we get there. And then he's had at least two games of football in 2024. And then you start him in the final when you potentially, if you get there, you're going to come against one of the big boys. And that's where you'll need him more. We're getting away with it at the minute by being imbalanced. But I think now with the chances to, if we can get him back in, because it is a bit scary that how imbalanced we look and just killing the attacks.
Yeah, because I think, like, we touched on it before, I think, and, like, I go back to, like, I know it's a few years ago now, 3 years ago today, I think, or maybe 3 years ago yesterday, but when we beat Germany, like, Shaw was brilliant, and I think people forget how good Shaw was in the Ukraine game in the quarterfinal. I think he got 2 assists. He got an assist against Germany, like, and sometimes it's just the fact that he's got left foot. He's really balanced. I personally think he's the best left back we've got. There's better left backs in the tournament, of course there is. But we've talked about teams and we've talked about individuals, and sometimes individuals turn up for you the way they did tonight with Jude Bellingham. But when it comes to winning games consistently, maybe winning a tournament, I think a little bit of balance sort of works. Brad's going to have to dash. He came on for a little bit for the ladies. And what can I say?
Hey. Goodbye, my ladies. It's a good thing this is just an audio podcast, because if it was a visual one, I would be free for the ladies.
And
Bye.
for me, everyone would just love me if it was. That's why I don't do it video, because I don't want to sell a podcast on sex appeal. Dave, Switzerland next. Rough. I think they've looked really decent. The only team that's took points from them has been Scotland, and I think personally, based on the way Switzerland have performed this tournament, you could argue and say that Switzerland were under par that night. They've got Akanji, who plays for Man City regularly. I don't want to have a mad glove in here, but because we've already praised Anthony Gordon on 2 podcasts in a row, but England hat on and Euro 2024 hat on, I think Fabian Schär is decent. He plays at a good level. He would arguably probably be in and around an England squad, maybe if he was English, which he's not. And there's other good players in there. I think I've been impressed by Ndoye. Vargas has scored obviously a couple of good goal yesterday, and they've beaten Italy, a poor Italy, but they've beaten them. It's a tough task, but if you're English, which we are, I think, is this? I know we've talked about before about this being lift off potentially, but if we don't lift off at this point, we're not going to lift off, are we?
No, absolutely not. There's again, Gareth Southgate would tell you that they don't fear anyone. They'll do the preparation properly, and that includes whether it was a Spain, a France, obviously, who we could all potentially meet in the final, one game at a time. I'm aware, but yeah, Switzerland are well drilled. Brad said it before that they're a good unit, but there was. I am encouraged. I've got my optimistic hat on. There was a 25-minute spell today in that second half that just really encouraged me, which proves that we can get the right players in the right areas to create problems. Switzerland will not sit off. They will have a bit of a go, which is always a good thing for England. I think we're at our worst. Look at Slovenia. Slovakia have had a little bit of a go tonight, and yes, they've had some success. But I think we're better when we have a go ourselves and we move the ball about a bit quicker. And I think there should be enough gaps in between the lines to be able to do that to Switzerland. So I have no idea why. I don't know where the optimism comes from. Exactly like you say, I think it does have to click into place at some point. Hopefully, Gareth Southgate seeing what we've seen today to see that there's key players in key positions, and he just needs to find them right pegs for the right holes instead of trying to experiment, which is a terrible idea in a major tournament finals. And fingers crossed he's not stubborn. I have, just while you and Brad were talking, and I was muted, I was having a look on Twitter, and someone's put your mortgage on Gareth Southgate, name the same 11 yes again. And I hope he sees the optimism that I see, and I hope he goes for it. But if he doesn't, and we win 2-1 in extra time, I probably don't care. I'd just like to get to the final and shithouse our way into winning something. But there's a long, long way to go, isn't there?
Oh, yeah, a long 390 minutes. I think if today should do anything, there's a 90 minutes, 120 minutes can be a hell of a long time. But God, I love football. I was literally in the group chat yesterday, wasn't I, chatting about how I hated football. And like things have been getting to me. I think I'm quite happy to admit that. Recently, like Sunderland hasn't been filling me with a load of positivity. England haven't been great. And there was I was starting to be a bit like, what? Like today just tells me why I love football. Like, because I can drink and be happy, which is like what life's all about, apparently. It's not, by the way, but like my point is, like today felt like what football was all about, and I think I want to leave on something because we're both Sunderland, all three of us are Sunderland. Everyone on the podcast is Sunderland through and through. We all love Sunderland. We've been talking about England for a long time because it's our country and it's our team from a international perspective. I don't think anything filled me with as much joy outside of Jude Bellingham's equaliser than Jordan Pickford's celebration of him just catching a ball, basically. We haven't really touched on him throughout these podcasts because I don't think we need to. He's the undisputed number one and he's England's best and he's one of the best we've ever had. And if you disagree with that, that's fine. I personally think he is. How brilliant is it to see Pickers doing what he does for England, getting them more clean sheets than anyone than has ever had at an England tournament. And like I still remember being at his debut against Arsenal, I think it was in the FA Cup. But how brilliant is it to see him achieving what he's achieved, something that we always probably knew we could when he was at Sunderland?
He is the epitome of someone who is unapologetically himself.
Fucking loving me for that exact reason.
And I have the utmost respect that when people tell you, if I win the lottery and I've got 42 million in the bank, it will not change me whatsoever. And it just hasn't.
Nah.
He now has the most clean sheets in major final history for England. The one thing that is massively understated with him is, again, his mentality. His mentality and his desire is unrivaled. It just so happens that he's in a position which is really important, but you can't affect the game too much in the way that he does. Lee Dixon on comms today, and I tell you what, I really would have loved to have been in the same room as Lee Dixon and go, I tell you what, you're a hypocrite, you, mate.
Wouldn't he get Clive Tilsley back on? I don't care what anyone says. Like, I don't actually hate Sam Matterface as much as other people, and I don't want to be negative in any way, shape, or form here. But get Clive Tilsley back. What a commentator. Him and Ali McCoy are just perfect, man. Is that AC/DC? That can't be AC/DC.
But Dixon, 2 points. I mean, I'm going off on a bit of a rant. But Dixon said, Southgate, he's only made one sub. Can't believe it. We've got 5 minutes left. Being so negative, being whatever. And then when we broke in the second half of extra time and we had the overload and it was 3-on-2, Lee Dixon to be fair, I think it was Palmer out on the right, made the wrong pass. Instead of playing the ball into the number 10 and then out to the left, he tried to miss out the number 10. And Dixon was like, I'd have had that in the corner. I'm like, wait a second, you just said Southgate was negative. Like, they've tried to finish the game, that's positive. And then he said, I tell you what, he said this week, Pickford keeps you on your toes. He just doesn't shut up. I couldn't have dealt with that. David Seaman, there was times I never knew he was there. Well, David Seaman sometimes didn't know he was there when that ball lobbed over him against Brazil. But that's a different story for a different day.
Pickford, for me, mentality, everything about him, brilliant. Love him. So proud of him. And like, look, he's loved by Everton. He's been there years, but he's one of us. But Dave, can we leave on a sing song?
Go on then.
Na na na. Na 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 na. Hey Jude.
Hey Jude, Jude. Is that AC/DC?
It's AC/DC, man. No, mate, it's the Beatles. It's the Beatles.
You're looking good, you're looking sharp. You've come so far, and you know how to make the most of who you are. faces, it's plain to see. You give all you have to give for all that you can be. When the day is done, you're the champion.
Gillette Labs.